Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher. We're doing some Holy Paladin today. What to say about the Holy Pally? I don't know. It feels a little bit on the dull side to me. A little bit. It could definitely use some touch of work, I think, to make this playstyle a little bit more interesting, especially when it concerns raiding. Oh man, there's so little to actually do to push out effective HPS there that I think I could do with a little tweak, if I'm being honest. Well, that's okay. Some of you guys love the Holy Paladin. You want to get the best out of it. Fully understood, my ballers, and therefore we're going to do everything for you today, including your talents, your reforging, your gemming, and all that good stuff that you guys really enjoy. Let's check out some Holy. We're obviously a healer. That is our primary job. Get used to this button, my friends. Maximizing the use of this button will, in fact, make you a god among men. It blasts the target with holy energy. Blasting the target, I'm always good. 30,000 holy damage to an enemy, or 30,000 healing to an ally, and granting you charges of holy power. Holy Shock has an additional 25% chance to crit. Yeah, it does, baby. We also pick up Word of Glory. This is our ways of spending holy power. We're going to be generating holy power. We can generate up to 5, as you can see there. They're all blank, but if I Holy Shock, oosh, 1 holy power. We get Word of Glory, which consumes up to 3 to heal a friendly target for 16,190 per charge of holy power. So we have a maximum of 3 on that. We also pick up Holy Radiance, which kind of used to look badass. Doesn't look as badass anymore. In fact, it looks like nothing at all. Imbues a friendly target with a radiant energy, healing that target for 20,000, and all allies within 10 yards for 50% of that amount grants a charge of holy power. Now, healing effectiveness diminishes for each player target beyond 6. So it will heal everybody. It's fucking awesome. But after 6, it starts to diminish in its power. That's okay. But it generates us holy power as well, as much as Holy Shock does. Do know it costs twice as much as a Holy Shock. So not too bad, not too expensive. And we get the ultimate ability, Beacon. Beacon of Light. The target becomes a beacon of light to all party and raid members within 60 yards. Only one target can be the beacon at the time. You are the beacon. Your Holy Light will also heal the beacon for 100% of the amount healed. So if we put the beacon on the tank, which is generally where we put it, when we heal other people with Holy Light, they also get full benefit of that healing. Your Holy Radiance, Light of Dawn, Light's Hammer, and Holy Prism will heal for 15% of the amount healed. All of the heals heal for 50%. So it's pretty cool. So basically this is just going to make sure the tank generally will get a ton of healing, which is always good. Talents. Now, with a healer, it is very interchangeable with what you pick up. Some things work better than others, no doubt, but it's always a choice, guys. So pack your tome with a clear mind. You're going to be switching things up. Your first thing is some sort of speed increase, like Long Arm of the Law. A successful judgment increases your movement speed by 45% for 3 seconds. That's really cool should we need to emergency move. You get Speed of Light. Now, this is generally what the healers take, because we're spending our holy power all the time. On a few occasions, we do build up our holy power, but not all the time. Speed of Light costs 2,000 mana, so it's effectively free and gives you 70% movement speed. Now, the benefit of this is not only do you move twice as fast as Long Arm of the Law, but that allows you to get stopping earlier. So you can get a good distance away and stop earlier to get healing again, which is always good. Pursuit of Justice, you gain 15% movement speed. This again is if you're pooling holy power. If you have a lot of holy power like 3, you'll move naturally much faster, which is kind of cool if you're going to be doing a lot of movement and you're holy shocking on the go and that kind of thing. So bear in mind what you prefer per fight. The next one is some sort of CC. So you get Fist of Justice, which replaces the hammer. It's got a lovely 20-yard range that we get on a 30-second cooldown and stuns a target. We get Repentance, which is a full-on CC. And the Burden of Guilt. Your judgment fills your target with doubt and remorse, reducing the movement speed by 50%. I just like the idea that it's like, oh, you judged me? Oh, man. And then they kind of slump and become a shoegazer, as we like to call them. You just stare at their shoes constantly. Level 45, you get some sort of modification to healing and abilities. So you get like Selfless Heal, which is a passive. Judgments reduce the cast time and mana cost of your next Flash of Light. Very nice, because Flash of Light is an awesome heal. When used to heal others. Stacks up to 3 times. So if you're keeping your Judgment on cooldown, you actually get super free, super effective Flash of Lights, which is always handy should you need that big super heal. Sacred Shield, which as it says, is a shield that you put on the target. It doesn't cost us anything. That's one thing you should need to know here. It protects the target with a shield of holy light for 30 seconds. The shield absorbs up to 20,000 damage for every 5.8 seconds. So a nice standard damage reduction to put on the target. Or Eternal Flame, which is what most people like to roll with. It replaces your Word of Glory. It consumes up to 3 holy power to place a protective holy flame on the friendly target, which heals them for 16,000 and an additional 1,000 every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. Healing increased per charge of holy power. So it's your hot, which is pretty cool. And it also has a nice burst straight off the bat. So if I just do a couple of holy radiances, just to get a couple of charges of holy power, and then holy shock to get the third, and then I go ahead and stick an Eternal Flame on myself. You see I've got this lovely hot healing me for 508 every 3 seconds. So a lovely hot with a nice bursty, nice beginning heal. So it's pretty cool. Level 60, we get some way of altering our hands. Now remember, your hands are what your new spells are called. They used to be called I forget their blessings, but now they're called hands. So you get Hand of Purity, which is places a hand on the target, reducing the damage and harmful periodic effects by 70%. So cool. It really is. If you get very dangerous hots, super dangerous hots, very nice, very nice. Unbreakable Spirit, when you Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and Lay on Hands are on cooldown. Spending Holy Power will reduce their cooldown, so bear that in mind as well. Most people like to roll with Clemency or Hand of Purity, depending on the fight again. This Hand of Clemency is literally you can use the ability twice before it goes on cooldown. So if I was to do something like a Blessing of Freedom, you can see I still have Blessing of Freedom available and I can press it again. It also works with Hand of Protection, which is something you need to be aware of. Hopping 2 people immediately can be very, very handy. Level 75, we get some sort of way of like a cooldown almost, like a DPS or healing cooldown. Now, in general, you're going to want to use Divine Purpose. Now, this is because most of your healing, sadly enough, is going to come from Light of Dawn and or Eternal Flame. It's going to come from both of those abilities which cost holy power. Abilities that cost holy power have a 25% chance, which is 1 in 4, which is pretty cool, to cause Divine Purpose, which means you can cast something again. Your next holy power ability will consume no holy power and will cast as if it had 3 holy power. So you can get the chance for double Light of Dawns, double Eternal Flames. A lot of your healing is going to come from there, so bear that in mind. Sanctified Wrath is one that I also like to play with. It reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock. The reason I like this one is I can pop it in times of emergency. I get a lot more Holy Shocks, which means I get timed an increased amount of Light of Dawns and stuff like that. So if you're in a raid and you get these big AoE burst phases, I really like timing that with my wings and also getting out a lot more healing with my Light of Dawn and my Eternal Flame during those periods. Holy Avenger. Ability to generate holy power will deal 30% additional damage and healing and generate 3 charges of holy power for the next 18 seconds. Again, a nice timed spammable ability, which is always cool. So you get these 2 things that are on cooldown, whichever you prefer. I also like Holy Shocking people in between, but Holy Avenger, again, the same thing. You fire off a lot more Light of Dawns. It's all up to you. Divine Purpose is nice and passive. So if it's an overall buff to healing you're after, Divine Purpose will win. If it's timed, bursty, Holy Avenger, or Sanctified Wrath, great for either of those. At level 90, we get super cool spells like Holy Prism, Light's Hammer, and Execution Sentence. Execution Sentence tends to be the weakest of these, but again, it's single target, so beware in mind, beware in mind. A hammer slowly falls from the sky, causing 103,000 holy damage over 10 seconds. This damage is dealt slowly at first and increasing over time, culminating in a final burst. If used on friendly targets, the hammer falls, healing the target for 106,000 healing. So again, a nice big bursty single target heal. Holy Prism sends a beam of light towards a target, turning them into a prism for holy energy. If an ally is the prism, they are healed for 40,000 and radiate 30,000 holy damage to 5 nearby enemies within 15 yards. For the healing, again, it radiates healing out to 5 nearby allies. So if you have sort of meleeers or casters who are generally taking a lot of damage, Holy Prism is quite cool. I tend to prefer Light's Hammer. Light's Hammer does a tremendous amount of healing, okay? It doesn't cost us anything. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. Holy Prism costs 3,000 mana, so again, it's very cheap. Light's Hammer is free. You hurl a light-infused hammer into the ground, where it will blast 10-yard area with arcing light for 16 seconds. This tends to be more preferable than the instant healing you get from Holy Prism. Remember, Holy Prism is instant healing. It just bursts out healing out of you. It's just like, heal. And Light's Hammer is like a hot. Hots tend to be more preferable in raid scenarios, is my take on that, unless it's super dangerous moments. So we're talking about Burning Bloods on Madness of Deathwing and such, where healing gets really, really heavy. Light's Hammer is really cool to that. I really do enjoy this one. I really do. I like the fact that it affects everybody. That's the point. Holy Prism will affect 5 nearby allies and the person you cast it on. Light's Hammer will affect everybody and just radiates healing. So it's this nice planted AoE hot. Think of it a lot like a Holy Priest putting down Holy Word Sanctuary, or Efflorescence from the Resto Druids, or a Healing Rain from the Resto Shaman. Similar sort of thing. 1 minute cooldown, costs us nothing. Really, really nice. So it's pretty cool. Now, glyphs. There are a few choices here, okay? You can really roll with whatever you feel like. You got Glyph of Blessed Life. When your Seal of Insight is active, which of course we will be rolling with, you have 50% chance to gain a charge of Holy Power whenever you're affected or stunned, feared, or immobilized. A very nice PvP orientated glyph there. Glyph of Flash of Light is tend to be what people roll with generally for PvE. When you Flash of Light a target, increases the next heal done within 7 seconds by 10%. Always nice to either set up a huge heal when it's needed on the tank. You know he's about to get slapped, so you cast that Flash of Light and you get ready for a huge heal to land on him. Or if you're in an emergency and you don't want to cast too many Flash of Lights, because Flash of Light is very expensive on the mana, is you can set that up so your next Holy Light will be very much more effective. Glyph of Beacon is always nice for when you're doing multiple tank fights, tank swaps, and etc. Remove the global cooldown of Beacon so you can swap it very, very effectively. But there's also lots of other things. You can heal yourself while Avenging Wrath is up, which is always really nice, and there's various other choices you can go through here. Double Jeopardy for double judgments. Glyph of Harsh Words is quite cool sometimes. Check through what you prefer. Glyph of Light of Dawn. The Light of Dawn affects 2 fewer targets, but heals each target for 25% more. So you have that choice when you want to work it in. It's all pretty cool. All pretty cool. So again, pick whatever you like. The other one I want to recommend is Divine Plea. Divine Plea, as we know, is getting your mana back over time. Okay, so we fire off Divine Plea. This is our mana regen ability. Divine Plea's glyph now has a 5-second cast time, but you receive your mana instantly. Some people really prefer this for healing because they get these moments where they don't want to be burdened with the healing reduction of Divine Plea. You get slightly less mana, but it's instant and it's a cast time. So really bear that in mind if you like instant bursty mana back. Very cool. And you don't have these periods of downtime to pull off a successful Divine Plea. Let's talk about your glyphing and reforging and gemming and all that good stuff. Now, the Holy Paladin is suffering a little bit from what to reforge for. In general, you want to get Intellect. Intellect is always very nice, increasing your HPS overall. Now, there's something to know here, is that Divine Plea restores based on your maximum mana. Your maximum mana doesn't really go anywhere, so there's a slight lack of synergy going on between Divine Plea and gaining more Intellect. So you won't get a mana benefit by gemming Intellect, which kind of makes it a little bit weaker. A little bit weaker. Two things you really want to avoid in general are crit and haste, which is weird, isn't it? You want to get as much spirit as possible, but avoid crit and haste. The reason for that is you're going to be using a lot of instant cast spells like Eternal Flame, Light of Dawn, and also your Holy Shock. Those are going to be the bread and butter of your healing. They really are going to be firing that out. And again, you have things like Holy Prism or Light's Hammer. Whatever it's going to be is instant cast. So therefore, haste's value is diminished. When it comes to your crit, it's just not that effective too because you can't rely on crit heals. It's always nice to get crit heals, but you can't rely on them. If you're relying on getting crits, you're kind of in the wrong position with healing. It's all about being proactive and rendering yourself ready. Also, bear in mind that you have cooldowns. Your Holy Shock obviously gains 25% of your crit anyway, extra crit on top. But you also have cooldowns like Divine Favor. Increase your spellcasting haste by 20%, further diminishing the power of haste, and your crit chance by 20%. So when you do need those crit heals, instead of praying for randomness by gearing towards crit, you've always got Divine Favor there, so you can get the benefit of that. So that's something you really need to bear in mind. So as such, your mastery is going to be what you're focusing on. You're going to be focusing on spirit, especially in this early levels of gear, and mastery. Your direct healing spells also play an absorb shield on your target for 22% of the amount healed, lasting 15 seconds. So you're getting this extra heal from all these absorbs, which is coming from your beacon, your holy lights, your holy shocks, all that kind of stuff. All this direct healing is placing extra healing on top of the targets with absorb shields. So your mastery is going to be quite powerful, especially in the early game. Get a lot of spirit and a lot of mastery, and you're going to be in good shape. So you want to be gemming sort of intellect mastery everywhere, really, and in spirit wherever you can fit it in. Get as much spirit as you can. You're really going to need that spirit. So you can see there, crit to spirit. This is a PvP geared character. I'm always going to try and make it difficult for myself when I'm healing. So I'm going to roll in a raid. I'm going to show you all the healing and looking for raid, and I'm going to do that with full PvP gear. And as you see, there is no other healing trinket on this character, so I will have a PvP trinket installed. Should be pretty cool. It does have some mastery on it, which is okay, but you can see even there, mastery to spirit, getting as much spirit as possible. Crit to spirit, get as much spirit as you can. Get as much spirit as you can, and then buff up your mastery, and you're going to be in pretty good shape, guys. You're going to be in pretty good shape. You're going to be alright. In terms of rotation, there's not much to tell you on a healer other than to try and get it into play. It's all about, really, the main thing you're going to be focusing on is keeping your Holy Shock on cooldown, getting as many charges of Holy Power as possible. Holy Shock is so cheap. It's so cheap. Remember, you've got Holy Radiance as well, but that's going to cost you twice as much mana. It's really going to be focusing heavily on your Holy Shock, get as much Holy Power as possible, and then using that Holy Power to generate huge heals, like Eternal Flame there with a 60k straight up heal that was free of charge, or indeed your Light of Dawn. Both of these are going to be the big source of your healing, so you really need to get as much Holy Power as possible. Get used to that 6-second cooldown, firing off Holy Shock as much as possible, or Holy Radiance, depending on your situation, in order to really get out some big HPS. Alright guys, so let's jump into a heroic now and check this bad boy out.